All right, I'm gonna make a new video with my updated mask design. Somebody was asking about how much fabric and how I lay it out, so I'm including that part too. Basically, I just fold the fabric, make a fold all the way down the width of the pattern piece. I've cut it out of it's a plastic cutting board. Works very nicely for this, makes it a lot easier to trace. So I just lay it with the front part along the fold and trace that. Now if I was doing a bunch, I just traced several and then cut them out. I'm just going to do one for this. Each mask needs 2 pieces. I have one already cut. So you could pin or clip this. I haven't been trying to be that precise with it. It seems to be working fine. Top curve. Okay, so when that is folded out, it's going to look like this. You want to fold it now with right sides together. You could save yourself a step and fold your fabric that way. This doesn't have a very noticeable front and back, so less critical. So then I'm going to sew the nose part and the chin part. And again, I'm not pinning anything, just lining it up. If it's a thinner fabric, sometimes I get caught at the end there. I'm doing a fairly small seam on this, about 1/4 inch. Trim my ends. All right, so, and my other piece, do the same thing. Just lining it up nicely as I sew. Alright, so now you have your 2 pieces, and you're going to put them right sides together. So you're going to turn one of them, so you've got the right side facing out, and you're going to line up the nose on both of them and the chin part on both of them. And again, you could pin it or clip it at this point. I've used these hair clips sometimes, but most of the time I've just been lining it up as I sew. I usually start on the bottom seam . And then I'm just going to sew it all the way around. thing with this pattern, you've only got one curve to worry about on the top. The rest are all straight lines. Again, just making sure it's still lined up. Sometimes it shifts, so I probably should be pinning it, but and then here I'm going to end with a couple inches gap. Just come a little bit around this corner. So I have plenty of room to turn it. No need to make the hole too small. So I'm going to top stitch it together anyway. And then I've been trimming my corners. It does help it lay down a little flatter when you turn it. And as my 7-year-old says, pull it through the magic hole. Turn it right side out. Okay, and then something like that, starting to look like a mask. And then where we pulled it through is where I'm going to start with the top stitching. That way I make sure I get that closed nicely. So I'm just folding, making sure that those edges are folded in. Going about as close to the edge as I can, so it catches that seam nicely. Now, here's the part where it's different from my previous video. So, I don't know if you can tell, but there's that straight part from the back of the pattern. So I'm just going to fold that over before I get to it as I'm sewing here. Stop my top stitching when I get to the edge of that flap. Rather than going all the way out here, I'm just going to stop it right here and turn, and sew, catching the edge of that flap. And then continue on around, do the same thing on the other end. Okay, just barely stopped in time here. So again, not really measuring it, just folding it in about the length of that straight part. Basically wanting it wide enough I can fit my safety pin with the cord through later. Last section. Trim the ends and you have a mask. So the only step remaining is cord. I'm doing, not really measuring it, doing a yard and a bit more. Just estimating that with my arms. And then take my safety pin through the end of that cord. mask, see which is the top and bottom. The shorter line is the nose, so that's the top. I'm going to start from that end, thread it through one side, take the same cord, thread it back up through the other side, and then either the ends can be knotted at this point and it can just be tied, or I got some these little sliders I've been using on some of them. So they're just a little, I don't know if you can see, but this one particular one has 2 holes. You just squeeze it together and feed that through. This cord's a little bit softer than I like. The other one works better, but I am out of it. So this is a macrame cord that I found online. It's a 100% cotton cord. And then put the other piece through. The other cord just slides on through, but this one's soft. There we go. All right, and then knot the ends so they don't fray and so it doesn't slip back through the slider. And then in terms of how this mask fits, it's going to go with that shorter end for the nose facing up, the longer end for the chin facing down. Place the bottom loop around the neck. Pull on the cords, pull out on the cords to bring the mask in towards your face. Bring it up and adjust it. And then bring that second cord up and tighten it down if it's got a slider, or tie it if it's a tie. And as you can see, it is fitting well enough. It is sucking in towards my face as I breathe in harder. And I'll turn to the side. It's got kind of that cone shape, gives you a little bit more breathing room on the outside. So that is it.